everyone, Sherry Canino here for the StencilGirl creative team. Today we're going to be making 3 vintage style holiday tags. I'm using the Distress Tags by Tim Holtz, and I've pulled out some ephemera from my stash. I have an old sheet of book paper, some music paper, and a sheet that has like some maps on it. I'm using my golden heavy gel matte medium to glue my tags onto the backs of these papers. Once I finish, I just take my scissors and cut the tags out. And then I want to create some distress on them. So I used a nail file to try to get the edges up a little bit, and now I'm ripping pieces off of the edges of each tag. This gives it a real nice distress look. Now I'm using a little bit of the Whitewash Fluid Matte Acrylic Paint by Pam Carriker. I'm adding a little bit to each of the tags, mainly in the center, just to lighten up the center where I'm going to add my focal points. Once I'm done with that, I dry it with my heat gun. And now we're ready to actually start distressing them. So I'm using the Walnut Distress ink, walnut stain. I'm concentrating mostly on the edges, but I do add a little bit in the center of the tag. I want to give these tags a nice worn vintage look. Now we're ready to get started with our first stencil, which is the Christmas #1 stencil. And I'm using a couple of the Distress inks in the green palette. One is peeled paint, and then on the edges I use the forest moss. For the smaller trees I go in with just the forest moss because I want it to be really dark, and on top of that I use a little bit of the pine needles. Now I pull out some book paper and I've stenciled the word joy on it, and I rip it out. I want the edges to be nice and torn and frayed, and then I give them a little bit of a distressed look using the walnut stain on the edges of that. Once I'm done with that, I pull out some lace, and I want to again give that a vintage look, so I use the walnut stain on the lace as well. I glue both of these pieces to my tag using the golden heavy gel matte medium. ready to move on to our second tag, and I'm using the Christmas Poinsettia stencil, and I'm using a distress ink in Fired Brick for the first poinsettia. For the smaller poinsettias, I'm using the Forest Moss. I add a little bow that I have in my stash to the top. For my third tag, I am using the Snowflake Mask 1, and I'm using some tumbled glass distress ink and some milled lavender distress ink. Just giving it some visual texture in the background. For my focal point on this tag, I'm using the crystalled 12-point mandala, and I've pulled out my Stazon inks for a little bit more of an intense color and focal point on this one. I'm using the Gothic Purple and the Blue Hawaii. Once I'm done with that, I go in and I use the Christmas #1 stencil again to stencil in the word peace at the bottom. I pull some ribbon that I've already dyed in my stash out to add the ribbon at the top. And our holiday tags are complete. Thanks so much everyone for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you all next time. Bye!